Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're talking about a little bit of drama coming out of the LEC world, or just the European League of Legends world, I guess. And this story, as you can see by the title, does involve Kcorp today. And Kcorp is a very, very interesting team. They're really like no other team or organization in the world, except for maybe Koi. And Koi is definitely getting to that level, but I don't even think Koi is quite at the level or craziness or insanity level of just the passionate fan base and the amount of fan base that Kcorp has, especially since Koi is a little bit newer and Kcorp has been doing this for like a couple of years now. And Kcorp has been exciting for so many people. Throughout all of Spring Split, I had a YouTube video series where I was tracking Kcorp, kind of checking in with what they were doing on a weekly basis, seeing how Reckless was doing, seeing how their games were going, and kind of tracking their progress, starting from the LFL to the LFL playoffs to EU Masters play-ins, all the way up to their EU Masters Championship. And those videos did super, super good. Those videos did better than a lot of my LCS and LEC content. And for an ERL team, that's crazy. Because when you compare that to like North America and like our amateur scene, that is not even possible. Like, yes, there are some very, very unpopular teams in the LCS. You know, the bottom organizations, the bottom brands don't have huge fan bases. But it's not like there's amateur teams or other orgs that really have bigger fan bases than some of those, at least not ones with League of Legends teams that are like really, really strong and competent League of Legends organizations. So it's really, really crazy. And obviously, with everything Kcorp's been doing, all the fanfare and crazy numbers they're doing on streams and in-person events and all this stuff, Kcorp has been drumming up a lot of kind of hype and fanfare surrounding them about potentially making a move to the LEC. There is so many people that would love to see Kcorp in the LEC, whether you're a Kcorp fan or not. Even if you're just a League of Legends fan, if you're an LEC fan, if you're a Western League of Legends fan at all, you are kind of curious about Kcorp going to the LEC to help grow the fan base, to help grow the viewership, to help grow the audience, to make more money for the LEC, and to further popularize the game and the esport that we love to watch, because at the end of the day, that is what's going to make this sustainable, and that's how we're going to like take this thing to new heights. Like, obviously, me being a content creator and someone who just loves watching this stuff, I want to see it grow. I want to see these viewership numbers go up. I want to see this get out to more and more people. I want this to become something bigger, something better, something more mainstream. And a lot of people think Kcorp going to the LEC could absolutely do that. But the interesting thing here is, even though there's a lot of fans and a lot of outsiders who are very, very for this, and I'm sure Riot is very for this as well. You know, Riot, I'm sure, would love to have Kcorp, would love to have Koi in the LEC, again, for that viewership, for those eyeballs, but also for their sponsors, and just in terms of making more money, not only thinking about growth and stuff in the long term, but in the short term as well. But that doesn't mean there isn't naysayers. That doesn't mean there isn't detractors. And we've talked about this a little bit before, how there are some people in the LEC, there are some teams, some orgs, some executives who are not so big of fans of Kcorp, and not so big of fans of teams like Koi and teams in the ERLs that are trying to be bigger, trying to be better. And that's what we're talking about today. This post from Reddit: LEC teams complain to Riot and tried to stop Kcorp from organizing an offline event. This is obviously Kcorp. I think he is the owner, like the founder, whatever, of Kcorp. This clip is in French. He's obviously French streamer. I don't understand this. I don't speak French, but we do have some translations and stuff below, and Kcorp has an insane following, an insane fan base, obviously being involved with Kcorp, getting this stuff all set up. The French fans, it's insane how big and insane the French fan base is, how loyal, how passionate they are, and how they tune into everything Kcorp and are really, really back this org, to the fullest. So if we do scroll down, we do have a context and translation. Carmine Corp organizes offline events called KCX, Carmine Corp Experience. KCX1 was in Paris. 3,500 people attended the LFL regular season game versus Solare. This was really cool. We know, obviously, this most recent season, KCX, the show match, this was in the Louvre in Paris. 2,000 people attended. This was a show match versus Koi, which is Ibai and PK's team, the team that I was talking about before, kind of, I guess, the Spanish version of Kcorp, the up-and-coming Spanish team. Everyone's saying, hey, if the LEC expands to 12, it's going to be Kcorp and Koi. So So that's kind of, the other team, they're kind of rivals, but at the same time, they're both trying to do the same things. They're trying to have the same goals. And if it works out for one of them, it's probably going to work out for the other one as well, unless that means buying an LEC slot, which then again, Kcorp and Koi are going to be in direct competition with each other. And the LEC organizations can use that against them, to run the price up and run the bidding up, since they both want to make it in the LEC very, very badly, at least we could assume. But then we had, and also this was very, very cool. This was at a time where KCX, the show match, this was at a time where a lot of League of Legends, if not all League of Legends and all esports, were still being played online. They were still being played remote. This is obviously, at a time where we had been a year or two into the pandemic, but there was the new strain of COVID or whatever popping up. People were getting sick all over the place. It didn't seem as bad. People weren't dying as much, nothing like that, and people were vaccinated and all this stuff. But still, there was a lot of people mad that Kcorp was doing something like this, having this many fans in attendance. But also, it was just insane to see this many fans in attendance. It was reckless getting to introduce himself in the flesh to the fans and all this stuff, and this was crazy. I mean, the fans were insane. There were so many people. This was a smash hit success. Yes, again, there was a little bit of controversy. There was some people mad, but there's always going to be some people mad. But that gets us to the story today, where KCX2 is going to be taking place on June 21st. They're expecting greater than 10,000 people attending. Again, this is going to dwarf the past two KCXs, obviously, in part because Kcorp has gotten bigger. They now have Reckless. They've won 3 straight EU Masters titles. They're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and growing and growing and growing and trying to do bigger, better, crazier things. But also at the same time, hey, COVID restrictions, lockdown, pandemic, all this stuff, it's easing pretty much all over the world. It seems like at this point we are seeing League of Legends played in person. We are seeing bigger venues opening up, more and more people getting together. And I could easily see greater than 10,000 people showing up at this event. But again, what he does say here is the viewer asked a question, what can other CEOs say about KCX? And his answer here is where the drama and controversy kind of kicks in, as they can't organize such events themselves, talking about, other CEOs in the LEC or in Europe. They are so salty about it. They were whining to Riot. They already complained to Riot last year for the previous KCX. They can't stand the fact that a team that isn't in the LEC yet, that doesn't have as much money as they do, could organize such events. They're salty, but that's life. They can cry if that makes them feel better. And this is hilarious, but it also, I think, peels back the curtain to show that there is absolutely people involved in the LEC and people involved in some of these European organizations. You can assume who these people are. I don't think this is G2. I don't think this is Fnatic that's trying to stop this stuff. When we hear stories like this, our mind automatically goes to one team for sure, and that would be Astralis. This team seems to have like one of the smallest fan bases. They seem to be willing to spend the least money. They don't do anything cool, interesting, exciting. But could it also be organizations like SK? Could it be some of these more middle tier organizations, the LEC? I don't know for sure. I think if you're G2 and you're Fnatic, you love seeing stuff like this. You would love to be able to do some of this your own. And that's also what some people are saying. Like Kometo says here, they're mad, they're upset because they can't do this. Someone that doesn't have as much money as they do, and they can organize events like this. People are saying, does this mean because Riot doesn't let them try to organize events like this? Or is Kometo saying because they have such small fan bases that they can't organize things like this? And I don't really think people know for sure. I know this comment, I didn't mean to open this up, but there was a comment here that was like, hard to imagine SK and Astralis fans wanting to see their teams in person, which is very, very fair. But we also have heard in the past that teams, potentially a lot of teams in the LEC are actually against, expanding to 12 teams, getting Kcorp, getting Koi in there, because then that would mean splitting the revenue 12 ways rather than splitting the revenue 10 ways like they currently are, even though overall that would be much better for the LEC. You'd be way better off in the LEC having 12 teams with Kcorp and Koi being a part of it rather than having 10, having them on the outside and having teams like Astralis and SK on the way in. But yeah, that there are some very, very upset teams, owners, CEOs, whatever, about the crazy stuff Kcorp is doing. And that's kind of disappointing. I mean, on one hand, I get it because Kcorp is, definitely taking away from what they're doing and also making them look bad. If there's teams in the LEC that want to sit on their slots and want to not grow their fan base and want to not do stuff and they just want to try and make money off being in the LEC, that's terrible. That's awful for the fans, awful for the league, awful for pretty much everyone involved. But that's fine. But then when you have a team on the outside doing things better than them, doing things bigger than them, making them look bad, that's going to make them look worse. That's potentially going to put pressure on Riot and the league as a whole to ask them to step up, maybe ask them to spend more money, or maybe ask them to sell out of the league or get kicked out of the league or have the league end up expanding. So they are trying to protect their business and their money and all this stuff. And to some extent, I get it. But also at the same time, it comes across as really, really bad that a team trying to do good things, they are whining to riot, trying to get it shut down, trying to get it stopped. And luckily, it doesn't seem like that's stopping Kcorp or Kcorp. Seems like they're going to keep doing these things. They're going to keep, building them up on a grander scale. But yeah, there's a little bit of drama going on in the LEC and in Europe right now surrounding some of these League of Legends organizations. And I really hope Kcorp gets in the LEC. I really hope Koi gets in the LEC. I don't really care if it's an expansion to 12 teams or if it's, SK and Astralis getting kicked out. But I do think it really, really sucks that these teams are complaining to Riot, trying to get this stuff shut down. And I really think overall it shows how much of a negative franchising has been, because how crazy would it be if we could get Kcorp, with relegations getting promoted to the LEC, because I think they would have been over Astralis a long time ago. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Let me drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. Do you think these teams are right to complain? Do you think they should be able to put on events like this? Do you think Kcorp shouldn't be allowed to put on events like this? I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date, and all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.